Welcome to the Mindful Momentum Leadership Podcast, a space where we explore what it means to lead with clarity, courage, compassion, and presence. I'm your host, Anu Arora, and today I am thrilled to welcome our guest, Diane Woodford. Diane is a retired critical healthcare professional and educator. Her new book, Aftercare, just came out. She's a speaker, a philanthropist, and a co host of Love Drops podcast. She's also a world traveler and One Love ambassador, devoted to mentoring young women and spreading love and positive energy around the globe. Through her book, Aftercare, and her work, Diane's journey is all about embodying love in action. And I can't wait to dive into her story with you. Welcome, Diane. So delighted to have you on our podcast.
Thank you so much, Anu. It's such an honor to be here today. I am so excited.
So, my first question, Diane, is what's arising for you in this moment?
Joy.
Hmm.
Joy is arising for me in this moment. Joy is arising because we have the choice to choose joy. Joy is arising because just moments before we started, there was so much noise going on above my head. There's little kids in the apartment above, and I chose joy and peace, and I said, it shall be, it'll be fine. I didn't allow myself to freak out. I didn't hit the ceiling with a broom. I chose joy, and that is what's arising right now. Just joy.
Oh my, this I can feel that energy, right? I just feeling that perhaps there's a vibration around that, what you exuding joy. I can feel that. But for you personally, how does joy look different from irritation? So let's say that whatever was happening above you, somebody in the apartment upstairs, a little kid is making ruckus, and that's there. It's disturbing you. Um, but what would be the opposite, or how would you experience that, and how would you transition to this state? So you kind of explained intellectually, but what's happening in your body? What's happening
Mm.
beyond just the intellectual?
Remembrance is happening because I remember being a child and being free and just having fun and just expressing myself. And it's not a matter of, oh, there's somebody under me, so boom, 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 I'm gonna run. No, it's like running feels fun. I'm gonna run. Wee! Oh my goodness, this is so amazing. This is so free. Yay! I get to scream and holler and just do what I want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as you're saying this, I'm like, why doesn't that happen more? Why are people so obsessed with, oh, this has to be my way and this is my way? And if the things are not falling into place my way, we have to have a certain, level of quietness because I'm going to record a podcast here in a moment or anything else, right?
Right.
We get too obsessed with that and too caught.
Yes, yes. And I think that that's what's going on. We're too tightly wound. We need to loosen up. Everybody's saying how I'm going with the flow. But when you really think about it, right? Are you going with the flow? Because the flow means that you are okay, that what you believe and I believe are not the same. You're going with the flow. So if the flow is light and love, that's your flow, then regardless of what anybody does outside of you, you're going to stay true to that flow and you're going to go with the flow. You're going to play more. I laugh. I pause and I laugh. Sometimes things happen and I'm like, oh my God, are you serious? Did that just happen? And then I just start laughing. I laugh because I need to raise my vibrations and I need to prevent myself from going down a rabbit hole, right? So I will bust out laughing. My husband's like, what are you laughing at? I'm like, I'm laughing at this situation because you can't make this up. This is really happening. So I'm laughing.
See, as you are saying this, I am laughing. It also is contagious, right? When
Yes.
smile came,
Yes.
your mouth widened, your teeth showed, mine showed as well. I think when we laugh, we also make others laugh. But also, what you were saying, and I was going to ask you, so how do you even do that? How do you raise the vibration? And that was a part of my questions, which were going to come later. But you giving us those nuggets along the way, you just laugh, you look at the, you raise, yourself to be in this, you decide, saying it's remembrance and deciding that I am going to be in this state of joy, and now things will
Yes.
get thrown, the life will bring its curveballs, and we're going to
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about the turning point of your life when your husband's critical illness
Yeah.
came into
Yes.
your life, and how it was a turning point to write your book, Aftercare. Um,
Yes.
but you're saying, giving us that nugget. So I wanted to catch that and express that before we move to the next question. Is that a
Okay.
simple thing like laughing can
Yes. Yes,
shift
it
the
is.
energy?
Yes, it's a choice. And I'm glad you asked that question because, again, with the children, and I was prepared to tell you this story when we came on because it happened at around, 2 o'clock in the morning. So I was prepared for that. I didn't know it was going to happen again, like right before. But so around about 2 o'clock in the morning, I hear this little child crying for Papa, and and just noise, and I really had gotten into that, that comfortable sleep. You fall asleep and then you go, and so you get into that really comfortable sleep. And I had just entered that comfortable sleep, and I was like, yeah. And then here it comes. My eyes flew open, and my first thought, are you kidding me? Are you serious? Followed quickly and intentionally with, that baby is probably afraid. I'm going to just send that baby some love up there and I'm going back to sleep. I'm getting back to my peace. So I meditate. That's part of who I am. So in real meditation, you can get to quiet in chaos. So it doesn't have to be a quiet room or, just the music and the incense. When you're really, really, real emergency meditation, it can be very loud and you can go in with all of that happening around you. And I just went back in. I says, I'm going back to sleep and I'm just sending that baby love. I closed my eyes. I said, all is well. And I don't remember anything else.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you for sharing that. That's amazing. So, moving to the book we were just talking about, that book came about after your husband's critical illness, this
Mhm.
aftercare. What's this season of life? What did it teach you about resilience, about love, about coming from this piece of place of, being peaceful in this kind of a situation?
Yes, thank you for that. Um, First of all, the one of the main things that it taught me was I am not in control. It taught me that life has a way of showing you, teaching you exactly what you need, exactly when you need it. When you are ready, the teacher appears. And I did not know that, but that situation taught me how to really open my hands and let go. Like, you really have to trust. It's like when being strong is the only choice that you have, the only choice that you have, it taught me peace. It taught me peace. You can do classes and you can, do things for peace. You can even do breaths and things like that for peace. But there are certain situations that come in life that just explode your life. And that's exactly what that was, because we did not see it coming. Um, Not expected. I mean, we're past the high point of COVID. We're not in the lockdown anymore or any of those things. So I'm not saying that we're just, yeah, we're kind of gliding, you know, because, life was getting back to something new. I'm not going to say normal because I don't think it'll ever get back to normal. But, it was during the 2020 time where I said, oh, I could not imagine leaving my husband in, it's like I could not imagine leaving him in the hospital. That's something I could never imagine. I didn't see the strength in me to do that. And that's exactly what I had to do. Not only did I have the strength to do it when it came time, but I also had the peace. I, as a professional critical care nurse, had to sit and watch things play out in a scenario that I knew was not right, but it was like a glass shield. I couldn't get in there to touch. It was like it was just something that blocked, and I feel like it was a divine block. So
Mm.
because I couldn't get in there and touch, I had to shine. And what it taught me most is when things fall apart, they're often falling together. They're coming back into place different. Sometimes things
Mm.
have to blow up in order to light up.
Oh, wow, wow, wow. I can just could really feel that as well, right? Things sometimes come apart or blow up so that they can come together in a different way.
Yes, yes. And it was never just about us anew.
Mm.
So in that time, which I love that about just God, divine, whatever your name, how it's never just about you. Whatever you're going through, it is either to help someone behind you, help someone that's on the same level, or help someone in front of you to remember. It's for remembrance. And for us, a lot of it was for the healthcare workers, because throughout the COVID, many suffered. There were so many traumatic healthcare workers just in there working because all they were seeing was death. And my husband and myself were used to show them a miracle. It was not comfortable, it was not easy, but it was powerful.
Is that why you wrote the book?
I wrote the book to give back. I wrote the book because I wish I had a book like that to read when I was going through it. So I said, I can tell people about it. What is the greatest way that I can tell them? I can write it. Then, so that was my second book. So the book was used to help someone else and to let people know that there is another side outside of the storm. That's like me being the rainbow in someone else's storm. That book was, so I planted the book there. The book was also a part of my healing journey. A book, writing the book also helped me to release, to heal more, and to just get more grounded in peace, to help me to thrive beyond. Because there's more about the aftercare in the book than just the situation. It's just one section about the hospitalization and the whole storm in the book, but the book is 5 sections. So there's 4 other sections that, it's just about the thriving. It's just about the healing. It's just about the recovery. Yeah.
There is the One Love ambassador. You you are the One Love ambassador. How did that come about?
Ah, thank you for asking that. So 10 years ago, we said yes to the call. We said yes to the call of adventure. We left our life in Pasadena, California, and we began to go. We thought we were going to, initially, it started out like a go where I send you ministry. That's how, we started out. It evolved into a one love adventure. And one love just happened to come to me. I was on social media that I'm not anymore, but I would do post, and every time I signed off, it was just like, just sign off one love. So I started signing off one love, one love, one love. Then people would refer, talk to me, and like when they get off the phone or they talk to me, and they'd be like, okay, one love. And it was just like that one love, one love. It was just constantly reinforcing that one love. And then what we were doing, you know what? I want to be an ambassador. I was like, I want to be an ambassador. I want to, be like a global ambassador. I said, you know what? I'm not going to wait on anybody to appoint me. I'm going to be a one love ambassador. And that's how that came about. And we continue our mission, and we are love in action. We are love in action.
Tell me more.
Where
I want to know what's love in action.
so love in action. Yeah, thank you. I love it. Love in action is going into places where you are called and just being on post and your assignments rise up. So love in action is going into Charlotte, North Carolina, right before COVID, and becoming friends with a woman who was living with just her and her little dog, and she had in this big house, and we went in as Airbnb guests, and we left out as family. Love in Action was walking through the journey with her of cancer. She found out she had throat cancer right before COVID. So Love in Action was being there for her and helping her spiritually, emotionally, and physically through the process, being there to help her care for the dog, just being present, because she was a very resilient, she's still here with us, resilient woman, beautiful woman, Dr. Eleanor Hooks. I'm sure she doesn't mind me saying her name. And just being there with her, that's love in action. But again, it spreads out. So not only were we there with her, we also was with Charles's friend in Fayetteville, North Carolina, who had brain cancer. This is all during COVID, and just being there for what he need, making sure that he was good. Charles just went and gave him his presence, because love and action, a big part of that is just your presence. It's not so much about, you know, things that cost. or buying things. It's more about making things. It's more about just sitting there in that space. It's more about just holding their hand. It's more about just listening to them speak. It's more about just hugging them when they need a hug. And because we said yes to that, the universe has opened many, many doors for us to do that repeatedly, to come and just bring love into places where people are just feeling hopeless, ill, sometimes just sad.
And I can imagine that when you're doing that, it's igniting love in them. Sometimes people have forgotten that love can be very simple. It is just that simple act of being present and listening.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything. You just be with that person just for a few moments. And
I
that can
think,
bring so much relief and peace to them.
yes, Anu. And I think if people could remember, just remember the power of presence, especially right now. If people could just remember the power of presence, pick up the phone and say, "Hello, Anu. I was thinking about you. You're such a bright light, and I just want you to know that I appreciate you and I see you. I see all that you're doing. I want you to have a wonderful day." That's it.
Simple, yet so powerful.
It's not a text, it's not an email, it's just a simple call. And here's the thing. We think we don't have time to do it because we're so busy, right? So we think, I don't have time to make that phone call. Really? You don't have time for a 2-minute phone call? I was thinking because I think it's today. I think it's today, honestly. One of my best friends, this was her birthday, and she passed from cancer. Probably we're going into the almost 3 years now. And one of the places that Charles and I landed, the place that I wrote the book, before I wrote the book, we went to a house, a peace house, and it's described in the book. We called it the tree house, and it was a house of peace where we really did get aftercare. That's where the book was written, right? And when we got to this place, my friend came from Nashville,
Mm.
and there was a deck. She already had cancer. Love in action, okay? She comes. We fix up the deck. It's a lake back there. It's beautiful. And she sits there. She came to visit. I cooked for her. I brought her water and juice and things to just sit. And I went back in the house and I sat. And I let her be. The master bedroom was off of that deck and you could see the lake. And so that's where Charles and I slept. But for her, we cleared out and we fixed it up for her so that she could have that place to sleep. She spent 4 days with us. We traveled and we let her govern because sometimes she had nausea and just things from the cancer meds. Here's my thing. We spent such a wonderful 4 days together. And before it was time for her to go to the airport, she had a couple of hours and we went out. She came back to the house, went into the master bedroom, took off her clothes, put on her pajamas, and got back in the bed and just slept. When we got ready to take her to the airport, I said, You took a nap? She said, I haven't slept in a bed and just comfortable like that for months.
Wow.
And that's what she needed. And that's love in action. And that's love in action. A few months later, she died, and we were right there at the bedside in her last moments. And as we were just speaking, she was just like, I still remember sitting on the deck, and I still remember, and it's just, and it was a white bird. It looks like a swan. It's a name for it. Eglin, I believe,
Mhm.
just a white bird. And so she would sit out and look at the white bird. And what happened is after she passed, the white bird just kept coming. I would sit out and the white bird would come. Even as I was writing the book, The White Bird, we went to Charleston, South Carolina. Everywhere we've been, it's like the white bird comes just to, so she lets me know. And it's just beautiful. But that's love. That's love.
That's love in action.
That's
Yes,
love.
thanks for sharing that story.
Yeah.
Ah, you raise the energy wherever you go. I,
That,
in my
yeah,
conversations with you, I feel that. And perhaps you feel that too. When you connect, you are connecting at a different level.
yeah,
And how do you
yeah.
feel that?
With intention. I intentionally go into a space to raise the vibration. I thought about our talk, and I knew already because we spoke already, and I already knew the frequency would be high because you bring high frequency to the space as well. So it's just like, okay, we're going to be vibing, or broadcasting on a higher level of frequency. You kind of know this and you feel it when you go in the room. Sometimes when I'm unsure, or sometimes when I know I'm getting ready to go into a heavy space, because you do have to go into heavy spaces and you say, well, you know what, just avoid the toxicity, avoid the heaviness. Easier said than done, because if that space is a close family member or somebody that you love, or a workspace that you need to go into, um, avoidance is not. So what do? You hyper vibrate, you hyper lift your frequency. Like I said, I was a critical care nurse. So before we ventilate someone, you hyper oxygenize them, because the oxygen is going to drop. But if it's hyper, then even when it drops, they still can, it'll still maintain them, right? So it's the same when you're going into a heavy frequency room. You raise your vibrations. How do you do that? Hey, dance, uh, sing, watch comedy, just do something that's going to just really have your frequency up. Maybe go for a walk, whatever it is, wherever your joy lies, right? Yoga, meditation, but you know that you need to be even more when you go in there, so that when it's pulling on you, you can survive and get out of there and plug back in.
You protect yourself and you can rise again. Because if we get beaten up again and again and again, it will bring humans down, and it will be harder to bring it back up. But protecting yourself, so you're giving us tools that you protect yourself when you know that this conversation is not going to feed you. But avoiding is not always the best answer. Is not saying
Right,
I will walk away from this or I won't talk to this person. No, this is no, bounds for me. Uh,
right.
it's more like, yes, bring it on, but I'm going to protect myself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because sometimes those people, our close family members. I don't want to name any family members because I don't want my mom saying talking about me or my sister or my or my kids. But I'm just saying sometimes it's close family members that you love. And here's the big thing. When you are carrying a light, when you have a responsibility such as yourself, myself, and just other people that are helping, are assisting, that are light bringers, when you have that responsibility on your purpose, sometimes you don't get to choose. Sometimes you don't get to choose. Because anew, do you really think, given the choice, I say yes, me and my husband want to go to that hospital and we want to be in ICU for 80 days and we want to go through the traumatic storm that we went through. Of course not. That would have been one that I say, I'll pass. Thank you.
True. Yeah. But life sometimes will throw curveballs, and how do you run?
Yes.
So, we are coming towards the end of our show today. What's your gift for our listeners?
Awesome. Okay, so here's my gift for your listeners. My web page will be in the show notes. On my page, on my site, there's a page that is entitled Aftercare. On that page, there is a 40-day meditation entitled Pause, Love, Reset. And the way that it works is you just put your name and email in, and you will get a meditation in your inbox immediately, and then one every day after for 40 days. We do not spam people because I don't like to be spammed. So you will get that. And I think the only other thing is we do a monthly digest once a month. Pretty much that's it. You don't even have to commit to that. But the meditations are less than 3 minutes. They're around 2 minutes per meditation. And it's my voice and Charles's voice. And it is inspired from the storm. And it's inspired uh, from the book. And it is rooted in hope, resilience, love, peace, strength, courage.
I love that.
That's my gift.
That's such a generous and a beautiful gift. I'm going to go and do that as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I really do. I really do.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you. Thank you so much, Diane, for your time. I've appreciated every single minute of our conversation today. And thank you for joining us for today's episode of Mindful Momentum Leadership Podcast.
Thank you for having me as your guest. This was amazing. I feel so relaxed. So relaxed. So thank you.
Thanks, Diane. And we're going to stop